Alright, we are back. Remove the brine well cap from the brine well show below. So again, the instructions are here. Let's get those moved off somewhere else for just a moment. Okay. Alright. The brine well cap. It says it slides to the side, but I think it's just going to come off the top. Spin this in some quick circles. Alright, the brine well top comes off. And yeah, it just pulls straight up. The instructions make it look like it goes kind of sideways. Maybe I'm just reading that wrong. But there you go. Next page. Alright. Attach brine well bracket to brine. Tell you what, I'm going to pause it, read through this, get set up, and then I'll come back. Okay. So I'm having a problem here, and I think I figured out what it might be. So this guy is supposed to have a tube that goes through one of these two holes. It goes in this hole right here. And they're supposed to line up, but this guy is practically sticking out of the tank. And there's 4 holes down here that have little things in them, and I think it's because there's something moving around in that other one. So I think I need to pull this whole thing out, get that extra cup that's down there now plugged into this other hole, and then this whole thing should sit back down. So let's do that. Alright, so I have all 4 of them back in. Let's put this back down in here and see how it goes, because I'm hoping that fixes the problem. Now you'll also notice that there's some of these little tabs all the way around the edge. Those are flexible and keep breaking off. I think they're to keep the brine at the very bottom of the thing, the salt I should say. So be careful with them, but they do seem to be breaking. Okay, so now that we got this set up, now you'll see it's well under the top, so that was definitely the problem. If you come over here and look in the hole, that's now lining up, right? Which is what we want. So let's keep going and try and get the next part done. Okay, I have greatly reduced confusion. It was saying brine well bracket something or other. I'll find it in a second. Oh, here we go. Attach brine well bracket number 1 to brine tank so-and-so. Right here, step number 1. But I couldn't think of what that would be. So I had to go back to the top of the beginning of the manual. Brine well brackets number 2 in parts bag A. Pull out parts bag A. What looks like a brine bracket? Brine well bracket. The giant white thing. Let's go with that. Here is the bracket. You'll notice that this is threaded. This was kind of stiff to get off. I'm leaving the gasket towards the inside of the barrel because that makes the most sense. Bring this over here. I will slip this around the standpipe like it's asking. I'm going to get it down close to the hole because I'm assuming that's where it's going. And then it's going to slide through and you'll see the white threads coming out here. And then I will attach this nut on the outside, again the gasket part going to the inside, and I'm going to tighten that enough to where, as tight as I can with my hand, assuming that that's going to get the gasket on the inside to seal. Okay, so we're pulling out parts bag B. The bushing is what's asking for, which I believe is just this white piece. So we're going to pull that out, and it says insert the PVC tube bushing from parts bag B, which we just showed you, completely into the head of the brine tube as shown below, which is this white tube that I've got this end and this end, the 2 ends of it at the same time. And then I think you feed this through the bracket and we'll go to that point. Actually, let me just get this thing open. There's a little red piece in here. Oh look, the white part came out by itself. There's a little red piece in here that I just want to make sure I'm not going to lose. That's why I'm being super careful. Alright, so if I put this in the end of the tube, okay, seems like a compression ring like you'd have on a hose or on the back of it, like a toilet hose or something like that. So feed the PVC tubing through the bracket. So it's going to go through the bracket, and it looks like it's going to go all the way into here like this. Yeah, so let's go ahead and push that through. Oh, that actually slides through really easily. And this part, there we go. Okay, so I had to pull up on the ring here to get it to line up. So now I'm inside of here. Yeah, that's what I figured. So you put this on here. Sorry, let me just make sure that's clear. You take the threaded part of this off. I had to loosen this earlier, so that's why it was easy for me. Put it over the top like this. And then you push that all the way in. Let me show you that from the other angle. So that is as tight as you can get it. Oh, okay. So this part actually goes all the way in. There was a little bit of something inside of here that was stopping this so the white tube wouldn't go all the way through. So now it's going all the way through. I bet you this is going to work now. I bet you as soon as I get this thing threaded on, it'll just be working. That makes a lot more sense if you've ever plumbed a sink or a toilet with those flexible hoses. That as tight as I can by hand, because you're out at your fingertips. Let me show you the angle here. You're out at your fingertips trying to thread this thing on. You can't really get a lot of tension on there. So if I pull back on this, okay, now that's solid. That's what we wanted to do. Perfect. And after that, you put the Brine Well cap back on, and again, this is just going to push straight down, and then we'll go to the next part. Okay, so the next part here says insert the red brine line flow control, which is that little red piece that I said I didn't want to lose, from parts bag B, with the cone side facing into control valve. Now this part's confusing because I'm guessing they want it like that. Yeah, that would make sense because the water is coming from this side of the line into the brine tank below me. So if you put it like this, it could push through and do something weird. This also creates the seal on the hose. So let's go with it this way. Again, cone side facing into control valve. Not entirely certain that that is clear, but again, if I insert it this way, then maybe the hose part will hold it in place and get it all the way to the back and form a good seal. Like that, right? Because they're the same diameter. And of course, without paying attention, I dropped the little red thing right there. So I gotta pull this brine tank thing out if I can and get that out somehow. Alright, I got it out. Let's try this again, but this time without dropping it, shall we? Take this off. Slide this on. Put the gasket in. And we'll see if we can find a way for you to come with us. The hose is curved, it's twisting, and things are happening. So let me see if I can switch hands here. Okay, so I got a little frustrated with what was going on, so I just did this off camera. But right here, it's going in, and the more I tighten this, the less this thing is like trying to come out. So I thought it would need another bushing inside of here. The manual doesn't say to add a bushing, and there is an extra bushing in an extra bag. I did not pull one in yet. I do think actually, from looking at this, it looks like the cone side, so the pointed side of the cone is supposed to go into this side, so I think I actually have to pull this thing off and redo this. So I'm pretty happy with myself. I found a twist tie, bent it out, and pulled the little thing out. So there's that piece. Let's try this whole thing over again. Okay, so that was a pain to do it the other way too, but what I ended up doing is taking that same twist tie, putting it in here, putting the cone side pointing up, sticking it in there, poking it in there, and then trying to get it to stay and like standing it up with this twist tie, come off of bread or a bag or whatever, right? Get it in there, stand it up, and then without touching anything else, slide the white tube in there and get it up against the gasket. Then I tighten the nut, and again the white hose here does not seem to be moving at all. Now, as I showed you earlier, this is just a small utility room. I mean, wall. There's barely walking space between the water heater and this wall. But what I need to do is I need to switch the brine tank and the resin tank like this, because I want the resin tank next to the water heater, the brine tank away from it, because this would be in the way of my sprinkler box, and it would be in front of the manifold, which is fine, and the brine tank would be over here, which is again fine. So I gotta switch things around, and then I'll come back in and we're gonna start on the brine overflow line after.